So I am David Geloza. I'm here at GEC. I'm a producer at Bandai Namco Entertainment. I'm taking you through Bless Unleashed. This is a free-to-play MMO coming out on the Xbox One, built from the ground up for the console. It's in Unreal 4. So I'm going to start playing, and if you have questions, just let me know.
Let's talk about some of the key differences between this version and the version everyone's familiar with, which is Lost Online.
Sure. So like I said earlier, this is built from the ground up for the console. It's a separate team who had a kind of just a different vision of what they saw Bless to be. So Bless Unleashed is a lot of focus around, epic story with gods and lore. It's kind of like ancient Greece a little bit, where gods live in the world, they interact with humans, and they're all kind of against each other, fighting for power. As a player, you play some role in this, and as you go through the storyline, you kind of discover who you are and why you are important to them. Other differences are this is kind of action RPG combat as opposed to like tab targeted. So as you hear, there's combos that you're going through. Each combo kind of ends with a big attack. You'll be ducking and rolling from attacks, so a little bit different than you're kind of used to with the traditional MMO.
So you mentioned the combat is dynamic. You can dodge and block incoming attacks without having to have the invisible RNG circle?
Exactly.
Talk about kind of classes. Talk about kind of class you're playing.
Sure. I'm playing a ranger, so this is kind of a nimble, very fast on her feet class. Obviously ranged. There's 5 different classes. One thing that we're doing kind of cool is we're going away from the trifecta of, priest, healer, tank, and every class should be able to kind of hold their own in combat. So even the priest does some really nasty attacks. The reason we're doing that is we kind of wanted to avoid having to wait 30 minutes in a dungeon queue in order to wait for a priest to show up. And we kind of wanted the single player experience to be fun regardless of like what class that you chose. So while each class can kind of hold their own, they also complement each other really well.
Talk about the classes in the game?
Sure. So there is a Crusader class, which is kind of like your sword and shield type of guy. A little bit of DPS, a little bit of defense. So I got to reload. Then there is the Berserker, who's kind of a slower, heavy-hitting class, like usually big two-handed weapons. You have your Ranger, which I'm playing now. She's nimble, quick, ranged. You have your Mage, which is your typical kind of glass cannon. And then you have your Priest, which has high DPS, but also healing abilities. Those are the 5 that we're launching with. As time goes on, we'll add more, but none of those have really been released yet.
So talk a little about like your abilities for the Archer, for example. How many abilities do you have? How deep is the talent tree? That kind of thing.
Sure. So when you start off, you'll only have a few. As you level up, you'll be able to either alter existing skills or get new skills. Right now, there's 3 different combos I have checked out on top as X, and then you have your 1 Y combo. Over here, I think it's point doesn't help where it's blinking. Those are your blessings. Those are your special skills. So one's like a nice aim shot. Other is like an arrow rain, and another is kind of shoot and get out of the way skill. There's also, let's see if I can pull this off, a charge shot. This one does a lot of damage. Once again, if there were a berserker with me, they'd be taking all the aggro from the bad guy while I had time to kind of charge that shot up. As you progress through the game, you'll be able to kind of change your loadouts to kind of best fit how you want to play. So even though you have a few rangers in a party, they might, one might have some more AoE skills versus one that might use their bow as a melee weapon, just for example. There'll be lots of different things for you to do as a player.
Talk about how your loot system works.
Sure. Typical loot, there's no looting in the demo, as you don't have a bag that you're managing, but you'll get equipment, you'll get crafting materials, you get stuff to sell, at the vendor. Pretty stereotypical stuff. As far as dungeon raids, I'd have to get back to you on exactly how those work. It's still kind of undergoing some balancing.
Talk a little bit about how this game was designed. Like you mentioned, obviously the RNG combat, and it's something the tap target's kind of gone. But talk about some of the challenges when putting that game onto a console, with the limitations of an MMO.
Sure. So one thing we have going for us is a lot of other MMO games on consoles started PC first, whereas Bless Unleashed was always going to be a console game. So the biggest challenges there are mostly UI related. But we were able to, make decisions of how UI worked together from the very beginning, and that helped. Because one thing with MMOs, there are usually lots of like menus that you have to go through and dive into. On console, that doesn't necessarily work out so well. So that was one of the challenges of getting the controls set so you can easily access lots of different skills, and at the same time being able to customize your character and play how you want to play. Yeah, I'm not the best at talking and playing, so forgive me. I'm usually a little better. Like I keep forgetting to reload.
How is content in terms of I'll use WoW as an example.
Sure.
WoW, sometimes I'll hit a stopping point where I have to have a group to do something. Is there similar situations like this? Does it scale based on the size of your party? Can you do most of the content solo?
You can do a lot of content solo. There's obviously going to be stuff. I died. There's obviously going to be stuff that will require more people, right? So like field bosses, for example, you can be running down a road doing a quest. This giant dragon is wreaking havoc on this farmstead. You won't be able to kill that dragon alone. It'll probably take 10 plus people in order to do it. There'll be dungeons where you can take 2 people to 5 people. A lot of the bosses will scale based on how many people are attacking it, just to always keep things interesting.
If you're a good enough player, can you solo some of those bosses alone? It just takes time.
It's possible.
Gets done again.
Yeah. Oh.
So the game is free to play. So can you talk about some of obviously how you guys capitalize off that? Is it visual, cosmetic differences, different weapons, different outfits, emotes? Sure.
One thing that we're being really cognizant of is the stigma behind free-to-play MMOs and pay-to-win. There's a lot of bad connotation there. So we're kind of taking that very seriously. We want our community to be happy. We want everyone to feel the game is fair. We're going to have 15 versus 15 battlegrounds. We don't want someone to jump into one of those battlegrounds and feel that they... There we go. We don't want someone to jump in those battlegrounds and feel that they can't PvP because they didn't spend $100. So a lot of cosmetics, stuff like emotes and what have you, and a little bit of convenience. So we're really looking into time versus money aspect of monetization. So there's no way I would get better armor than you because I paid money, but maybe I do double XP potion for an hour.
Right.
The end result is we're both level 15. I spent a little money. Maybe I got there a little bit quicker. That gives me no advantage in the overall meta of the game. So that's how we're approaching monetization.
Can you give us a sense of scale of how big the world in Bless Unleashed is?
Sure. It's hard to tell. We have
Talk about the biomes. We have
yeah. So we have about 8 to 12 that we'll probably launch with. It'll take you a pretty long time to get from one area to the next. We have jungle, we have on top of mountains, we have desert, we have cliffs and crags, we have farmsteads, we have caves, we have sewers. There's really a lot for us to draw from. One of the benefits we have is since it does share a lot of the same assets from Bless Online, we have a lot of assets to kind of pick and choose from a game that's been there for a little while. Obviously, we're up-resing all the textures to, be 4K and HDR, but we have a lot of stuff to draw from, which is great.
So just say that you guys have Xbox One X and PS4 Pro.
Only Xbox One X.
Only Xbox One
Yep.
X.
Right now, we're just trying to get it right on one platform, really focus on it. And if that all goes well, then yeah, we're totally open to expanding to more platforms. But right now, just Xbox One.
Do you have a favorite class in the game and why?
It's the Ranger. which I'm not doing a very good job right now.
Oh, you died again.
Having her arrows and her abilities is a lot of fun, and she's very agile. And there's something very pleasing about her multi-shot kind of hitting the enemies. Her learning curve is a little bit higher than other classes, but yeah, she's a lot of fun.
So when does the game come out? What platforms will it be released on?
We're going into our betas within a few months. If all those go well, we'll be out before the end of the year. Obviously, if there's stuff that our players feel strongly about during the beta, we're going to address those, and that might mean we release a little later. We really want to do it right.